I wouldn't want to do that because that'll tarnish his legacy as well as.
I wouldn't want to do that because it would damage both his and my legacy. You should want to retire, unwind, and live a life. However, I changed my mind. Why do you need to prove anything when you've demonstrated everything throughout your career? Floyd Mayweather criticizes Manny Pacquiao's comeback to battle at 46, calling it a mistake that could ruin his reputation. Mario Barrios claims that Pacquiao is no longer in his prime, and that the comeback is motivated by money rather than glory, endangering the greatness he has already established.
As Pacquiao, at his age, which is sad that
Turn at age 46, according to an analyst, is more about clever marketing than boxing glory. His contest with Mario Barrios is viewed as a calculated move to capitalize on his legendary name and make a significant amount of money. Regardless of the competitive significance of the fight, Pacquiao is expected to garner attention and make money. Of course, we don't want permanent injuries, but I wanted him to be knocked out because, if he is truly thinking about returning to professional boxing, I believe that would be an indication and measurement. You know, a marketing campaign for him when he went back to boxing. In his most recent exhibition bout, Pacquiao looked far from his former self, displaying obvious signs of ring rust and diminished speed. Now, the Filipino legend is entering the ring with a young, hungry champion, raising doubts not only about his chances but also about his motivations. Pacquiao, who is almost 46 years old, is getting ready for a professional comeback against Mario Barrios. This announcement has sparked intense debate in the boxing world, with fans and analysts questioning the wisdom of a comeback so late in his career.
Manny Pacquiao are finalizing a deal to fight in the summer. Now, Manny Pacquiao is, I think, close to 40 years old, if not already 40. Why is he still boxing? We've seen how he looked in his last exhibition against Ampo. I'm telling you right now, if this fight ever happens, which it probably will, this fight will happen, most likely. If he gets in there with Barrios, he's gonna get whooped and possibly even stopped. Let me know what y'all think about this fight down below. Manny's already done the most legendary thing you could ever do in boxing. 8-division world champion. No one's ever done it, and probably no one will ever do it again. So why does he want to keep fighting these young guys? I don't know, man.
Years of being involved in politics and stepping back from active fighting, Pacquiao stated that his return was not driven only by competition or money. Instead, he claimed to have realized that boxing still holds a special place in his heart. I changed my mind and realized that, well, boxing still loves me and I love boxing. So why not continue my journey in boxing? You know, people ask how busy you are as a senator and how that will play into your preparation. Pacquiao claims he feels the calling of the ring again. You're supposed to want to stay retired, relax, and have a life. Since training for a fight takes your heart and soul, and you already have a very tough job as a senator, I'm curious if Pacquiao isn't just coming back for nostalgia. He's said that he wants to end his boxing career with a statement, a final run that ends with victory, possibly even another world title, because for a fighter who has already secured his place in history, ending his career with a bang is more than just symbolic. It's personal. He wants his final moments in the sport to be ones of triumph rather than decline. Discussion. Roy Jones Jr., a boxing icon, made fun of Floyd Mayweather's legacy, particularly in relation to his victory over Pacquiao. Roy suggested that Mayweather's victory over Pacquiao, who was past his best, shouldn't be hailed as a victory over the Filipino at his best. I wouldn't be able to claim victory over Pacquiao after he was knocked out by Marquez, because of course, that's not the same Pacquiao at his best. But in today's society, we'll call that person the greatest fighter of all time. How things work. Out. That isn't true, but in the business world, it is because of how much money he made. Showbiz the Adult once talked about his awkward encounter with Floyd Mayweather, who allegedly shut him down when he tried to suggest that Pacquiao or any other fighter might be better than Floyd. Even accusations that Pacquiao was using performance-enhancing drugs further highlight Mayweather's need to maintain dominance in any discussion about boxing greatness, and suggest that he may feel threatened by Pacquiao's legacy.
I said, Sugar Ray Robinson. He said, Sugar Ray Robinson? How many wins he got? I said, he got like over 150 wins. He stopped for a minute. He said, but who got more championship titles, me or him? I said, hold on, Floyd. He said, answer the question. I said, Floyd, there's more titles now than then. There was just one then. That's no fair. Answer the question. I said, okay, you. Do I not have 28 titles? And I was just like, I don't know. He said, oh, you're supposed to be the expert. But the reason why I said that is because there's minor and major titles. Who else greater than me? I said Henry Armstrong, Roberto Duran. He said, oh my God. He said, you said something about Pacquiao. Yeah, I said, I think you'll beat Pacquiao every day of the week, but I think he had a greater career. He said, you ain't think Pacquiao was on steroids? I said, he didn't fail any tests, Floyd. He said, look at me in my eyes. I can't say, man, he didn't fail. He said, oh man, you faked. I saw that as a initiation. This is what you about to get. Nobody's greater than Floyd. My thing is, he should feel that way, but you can't expect everybody to feel.
Fans have embraced Pacquiao's comeback. Many are dissatisfied and fear the legend will ruin his impeccable career. There are numerous remarks on social media sites expressing worries about his health and shock that he would take such a risk at this point. The boxing community is split. Some applaud the bravery, while others condemn the choice. We criticize Jake Paul for these kinds of fights, but a current world champion and Mario Barrios are going after Manny Pacquiao. Listen, I understand that you get to share the ring with the legend of Manny Pacquiao, one of the greatest to ever do it. But he's retired and already in the Hall of Fame. The fight between Pacquiao and Barrios is set to take place in Las Vegas or San Antonio on July 19th or 26th. It will be free on Amazon Prime. Manny Mario Bar could easily run laps around Manny Pacquiao and demolish him, and Pacquiao didn't look good in his recent demonstration. Why are we wasting time on this kind of fight? It doesn't make any sense at all. Pacquiao hasn't remained quiet about Mayweather either. In the past, he made subtle jabs at Floyd's series of exhibition bouts, implying that they don't have any real sporting merit. Pacquiao hinted that Floyd might finally be succumbing to his ambition to remain relevant, and that he was more interested in quick money than legacy. The shade thrown illustrates how unresolved their animosity is, even outside of the ring. Mayweather and Pacquiao faced off 10 years ago, but their tension has never truly subsided. While Pacquiao's supporters contend that the bout was too late to be genuinely conclusive, Floyd keeps reminding everyone that he defeated Manny.
Yeah, you're not on my level. Manny Pacquiao, you will never be on my level. Period. Simple and plain. It's okay to be number two. It's okay to be right behind me. It's okay. I won. I know I won. I know I'm the better fighter. Manny Pacquiao spoke about that he shouldn't have.
Floyd Mayweather.
Floyd Mayweather, yeah.
Because it's a time and a place for everything. I'm not gonna say he's right and I'm not gonna say he's wrong. You know, but it's so crazy. When he spoke about it, I could have easily came out and said, yeah, you spoke about it. I ain't have to say nothing. Just by you saying my name, they gave me a check for $4 million. He said my name when he didn't supposed to.
Rivalry even reached the courts in 2009 when Pacquiao sued Mayweather for defaming him after the latter accused him of using steroids. Although the case was resolved, the resentment it left behind only strengthened their Cold War. Their legacy battle was not limited to the ring, but also to press conferences, interviews, and courtrooms. Dan and Rayfield. What does Manny Pacquiao hope to achieve with this lawsuit? I know that the negotiations for this fight have been going on, but I just got off the phone with his lawyer, Daniel Petrielli, just before going on the air, and I asked him that exact question. He said that whether they are negotiating this or not, fight that. You know, they claimed that the remarks made by the Mayweather people were careless, reckless, and malicious, and they felt compelled to respond to it no matter what. As a result, they felt that they had no choice but to file the lawsuit, regardless of whether the fight actually happened. From the outside, it appears that both sides may be trying to hype up this fight more. What do you think about this? That is completely untrue. And I can understand it given the history of events regardless of current controversies. Pacquiao is the first boxer in history to have won belts in 8 different weight classes, ranging from flyweight to light middleweight, and his career accomplishments are still unmatched.
For greatest fighter, pound for pound, who ever lived. Think about, by the way, I don't think he wins that argument. Sugar Ray Robinson is safely ensconced in that position. But Henry Armstrong, Muhammad Ali, Harry Greb, Sam Langford, Floyd Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker, whoever else you want to mention, put Pacquiao's resume up to those guys. Bill James, the great baseball sabermetrician, had a way of ranking baseball players that I came across as a kid and thought, that's really smart. You have to rank them at their best and then also over the course of their careers. Because when you have that argument, are you talking about who accomplished the most or what heights did they reach?
I think that Manny Pacquiao is still enough to beat most fighters in the top 20 at 147 lbes. He's obviously not the fighter that he once was. You're not going to be at that age? My problem is that he's been inactive for a long time. For example, we were discussing a fight with him with Conor Benn maybe 6 months ago. Every month, 3 months, or 6 months that goes by makes you a lot older, so you know. Eddie Hearn acknowledged Pacquiao's greatness, but he didn't shy away from addressing the dangers at 45. I suppose there are two questions. First, should he fight again? If he is skilled enough to defeat anyone outside of the top 20 in the world, then sure. But should he compete for the world title? I suppose that is a different question, and the answer is probably in the realm of ratings and activity. The answer is probably no. Do you think it's odd that he's jumping off the couch and getting a title fight like that? I believe that once you've accomplished what he has, you always have the right to do things a little bit differently than other people. With all due respect, we push the Conor Benn like his best win is against Algeria or Van Hen, so Ashley Pacquiao is a step up, and people were still complaining at me for bringing up that fight like Conor Benny's boots, but he hasn't had those victories yet. Bradley, a former champion, expressed similar doubts, even going so far as to say that this fight feels more like a money grab than a worthwhile athletic endeavor. It is not only dangerous, but also potentially destructive for Bradley because Mario Barrios, Pacquiao's next opponent, has the youth and expertise to brutally end Pacquiao's career.
Ring again for a world title fight.
Well, obviously, you know, it has to be pertaining to any kind of money. You know, it has to be financial. I mean, any fighter that comes back, especially from retirement, a guy like Manny Pacquiao, it definitely has to do with money. One, two. I think Manny Pacquiao, I think his C game is a lot better than anybody, a lot of guys' A game, even with the age. But you have to take into account the last time he stepped foot in that ring, man, against Ugas. You know, he didn't look good. He was outmatched by, you know, a younger fighter. Barrios is no slouch. Barrios is a young fighter, you know, bigger fighter, knows how to, you know, control distance very well. Can punch a little bit. Like, he's no easy task for anybody in the welterweight division. And for Manny to come back after this long and to face a young guy like that is dangerous. And sometimes, you know, these old legends, they got to get beat up several times before they call it quits. You know, that Ugas fight, I don't know if it was enough for Pacquiao. That's why he's coming back. But Barrios, he can he can finish Pacquiao. There's a possibility that he can finish Pacquiao and basically cause him to go back into retirement once again. But again, what they say, the last thing that leaves is the power. If Manny got any of that power still left in him, if he lands that left hand, he can hurt the young gun. So, but that's easier said.
Decision to compete for the WBC welterweight title has profound meaning because the WBC was the organization that awarded him the title when he first gained international recognition. Pacquiao appears to be trying to complete his career. If he defeats Barrios, the boxing world may be anticipating a fight with Gervonta Tank Davis. Both fighters are southpaws, explosive, and have enormous fan bases. This fictitious bout could garner international attention and provide Pacquiao with a final super fight to headline. Gervonta Tank Davis has a $200 million or about $30 million per fight, 6 to 7 fight agreement with the PBC and Amazon. He also has a fight date in November, but the Elio camp has stated that they won't be competing this year. Man, the question is, who is willing to fight Tank by November and has the ability to turn the bout into a $30 million battle? You guys must be crazy if you believe that Manny Pacquiao and Gervonta Davis will face off. You all know that's a big fight because today's boxing fans know Tyson. But Davis isn't a big fight, and that will likely be his biggest fight ever. Pacquiao, Manny Floyd Mayweather versus Alvarez Canelo.